Thank you so much for taking the time to jump in today. I'm Megan Nyland. I'm the training and employee development manager for the Utility Vegetation Management service line. Welcome to the Davie Resource Group. I focus primarily on the training, tie in a little bit with orientation and onboarding of our new employees, as I supervise our recruiting team as well. And then I get pulled into a variety of different types of projects from time to time. So you'll see communications come out from me on a variety of different subjects here and there. And if you ever have questions, looking for information, can't find something that you're looking for, I'm also a good resource for you to come back to, that I can either get you where you need to be or send you to the individual that you need for your particular situation. So this particular webinar, designed obviously for our new employees, really to help get you a little bit more acclimated to the company, the different resources that we have available, where you can find different types of information and that type of thing, just so that you feel a little bit more prepared. And when you do have questions, you can maybe find and seek out those answers on your own before trying to have to figure out, who do I call, who do I find this information from? So without further ado, we'll get going here. So this first website that I have up here is our welcome.davie.com. If you got a welcome package from your manager or your trainer, this website is introduced within that packet. And this is a site that was developed for onboarding for any employee to the Davie company. So it's a very broad, general, comprehensive introduction to the company and to some of the resources that are available. When you open up this site, there's an image on the front here. If you click the play icon there, you're going to get a short welcome message from Pat Covey, our CEO, and then you can kind of dive into some of these resources. So on this page at the bottom, there are some icons. There's a links icon, a home icon, and a little notebook. And if I click get started, it's going to take us to that home page. So you're going to have 3 boxes here: pre-day 1, week 1, months 1 through 3. So again, this site is designed to orient any employee to the company, and the training structure from one service line group to another looks very different. So your training schedule, your orientation is probably not going to be set up based on days and weeks. It's more of a comprehensive, let's hit the most important things, move on to the next thing, and so on. And usually your training experience is going to be a week to 2 to 3 weeks, and then you're probably going to be independent and on your own. The information that we find here is still appropriate for you. So all you got to do is click these green boxes and you'll get this drop down of information, and you'll scroll down to these to-do lists. This is going to align very closely to the onboarding guides that would be in that welcome package. And if we keep going down, here's where we start to see some of these links. So on the left, this is your basic intro information. If we click on these links, it'll open up and you can open up a PDF on that particular topic of information. So we've got a welcome letter, we've got information on the service lines, the Davie Institute, which is the education part of the company, some history, some safety, information about PPE, COVID updates. Fortunately, that seems to be kind of declining a little bit. This website is designed to work very well with mobile devices. So even if you're on a smartphone rather than on a computer, these PDF information pieces should open up and be very easy for you to see on your device as well. If we roll into this middle column here, we get in a little bit deeper. Davie Connect, which is one of the sites that we are going to visit today, that connects you to different parts of the company. Information on health and wellness, summary of benefits. You can find the employee handbook, the safety and training manual, and then basic information on payroll, paid time off, and introduction to the learning management system, which we will also visit today. And then that last section there, just some frequently asked questions stuff and some information on employee ownership. We'll also cover that a little bit today as well, but just kind of a wrap-up section of stuff of information here. But really, again, just kind of a comprehensive introduction to what the company is all about. If we click on that links icon, this is going to introduce you to some of those resources that are available. So the Davie Connect site, which we'll visit, the DRG Connect site, which is a little bit different, and then where you can find information on the company. The Davie Bulletin is our bi-monthly publication. You'll start receiving those in the mail. Information on how to connect with Davie on different social media platforms, the identity collection. This is clothing, gear, accessories, stuff like that. And then the different platforms where information is provided about the company. This Davie Voice will touch on that a little bit later as well. If I click on the little notebook, this is going to be a very generalized contact page for some of the corporate departments. So if I click on insurance benefits, it's going to give me an email address and a phone number to reach somebody in the HR department. Most of these, they're just giving you an email address, but it's a way that you can make initial contact with these departments if you have questions or issues that need to be addressed. We're going to find another page that has some more specific contact information to these departments, but this is a nice place to start. It's an easy website to remember and to locate to find some of this general information. All right, so next I'm going to jump over to our Davie.com website. This is our public website where if anybody's looking for information on the Davie company, this is where they're likely going to end up. It's very likely that you've looked at this or explored it a little bit as you were looking for employment with the company. There's just a few places here that I like to point out to our new employees because there's a lot of, again, good information to help you learn and get more familiar with the company. At the top of the page, there are links into all of the different service line areas so you can kind of see what all of the different parts of the company are doing. We, of course, fall into utility solutions and we'll come back to that. The first link I like to take a look at is this About Davie Tree link. So this, again, kind of goes into what the company is all about, a little bit of the history of the company, and then introduces you to our company values. So as an employee of the company, we feel like it's important for you to know and understand what the company's values are because you are now a representative for us and you're the ones out there making the contacts to the community, to the clients, to the other contractors and that. So we just really want to introduce so you know and are aware we're all about safety, expertise, stewardship, integrity, leadership, perseverance, and that these are the qualities that we really like to see exemplified in our employees as representatives of our company and all that we stand for. And if I go down a little bit further here, we can introduce to the vision and the mission of the company. We create and deliver sustainable solutions. We exceed client expectations. Again, that's a goal and expectation for every employee of the company. And the only way you can know that is for us to really share and introduce you to that. Employee ownership. We are an employee-owned company. We have been for over 40 years. And you will have the opportunity to become an employee owner as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we move along to some of the other sections here. But here you can kind of read a little bit more about our history of becoming employee owned and really what that looks like and what that means. Okay. All right. I'm going to next click into utility solutions. And here's where we can dive in a little bit more to the different types of utility services that we provide. So we, of course, fall into the vegetation management consulting area. Within Davie Resource Group and the Eastern Utility Group, we have a lot of other services that are available to a variety of clients as well. So we have an environmental consulting service line. They do restoration projects, endangered species assessments, mitigations, restoration, environmental compliance, and those types of things. We do get involved in storm response and natural disaster recovery. You may have opportunities to get involved with this. And it sounds like over in the Mid-Atlantic area, some of this has been happening recently just in response to general storms. So storm response, we certainly get localized responses to help our utility clients. In cases of things like hurricanes, particularly Florida, Louisiana, Texas, we sometimes get the call for additional resources. And so in those cases, sometimes we're able to pull people from our other accounts to assist with those efforts. So that's something that you might have the opportunity to jump into at some point. Knock on wood, cross our fingers, so far we've been pretty clear this year. We also, particularly on the West Coast, get involved with wildfire response. So going through ahead of time and trying to do fuels reduction. And a lot of times after fires, our people will go in and do post-fire assessments to determine the damage, the amount of work that's necessary, and how do we clear up any vegetation that remains, that type of thing. So particularly on the West Coast, you'll probably have opportunities to do something involved with wildfires. And I know there's a lot of training and preparation, particularly in the summer and fall months, so that our people are prepared if that comes up. We have gotten into communications construction services. So this is something that does not at all come to mind with Davie, the tree company, landscaping, vegetation, that type of thing. This is working with those utility clients to help them actually build their infrastructure. So a new direction that we've taken services and something that's very different from what we've done in the past. Utility line clearance, you're probably familiar with this, maybe have seen the big green trucks out there. You may be planning and auditing work for Davy Crews, as well as some of the other contractors that are out there as well. And then we have an asset management service line as well. Again, they're focusing more on the equipment along the right-of-ways rather than the vegetation that we are familiar with. So doing pole inventories, equipment function testing, determining equipment that's needed, helping to manage the other types of equipment that are trying to attach to the poles, like cable and telephone and things of that nature. So again, very different way to look at the right-of-ways than the look that you guys are giving to those right-of-ways. If we jump into that vegetation consulting, management consulting piece, we can kind of dive in here and just learn a little bit more about the types of UVM work that we're providing. You may be doing some or all of these types of tasks. So the work that you're doing, of course, is project and program management for our utility clients to help them to maintain their right-of-ways and their electrical reliability by managing the vegetation. Some of our people are doing safety audits where they're auditing the operation, the performance of those tree crews that are doing the work along the lines. You may be also auditing the work that the tree crews have done to make sure that it was done appropriately, that they didn't miss things and things of that nature. We mentioned the storm and the disaster recovery that you sometimes might get involved with. Some projects will pull in TGR or tree growth regulation solutions. A lot of this is seasonal, so it depends maybe on the time of year and the type of work, the scope of work that's necessary at that time that you might be able to have an opportunity to do that type of planning. Vegetation work planning is what most of our people do, where you're going out ahead of those crews, determining what needs to be done, contacting property owners, getting those permissions, and that type of thing. And then again, just project-based work that may vary from different times during the year, where we may do workload studies or storm hardening projects for our utility clients as well. But this just kind of gives you a little better scope of some of the different things that people like you are doing depending on their contract and the client that they're working for. If I go down here a little bit further, there's a section on client success stories. And this is a nice area for new employees to jump into because it really gives you a good picture of all of the different types of things that are happening across the company. So if you click on the See All Client Success Stories, you'll see submissions from all of the different service lines of different unique types of projects that they're working on, particularly successful projects that they've been involved with for utilities, for property owners, for cities, whatever it might be. But it's a good collection with a very diverse offering of this is what we're all about and this is what we do. So again, just a nice place to dive in and get a little bit more familiar with the company as a whole. I'm going to jump over here to our learning management system. This is where you have been accessing those online training courses, and I think everybody's been there at some point, so you've gotten a little familiar with the site and how it works and that type of thing. So once you log in, this is where you're going to land on this dashboard page. The LMS is the same thing as the learning management system, is the same thing as Brainier. Brainier is simply the platform that we use for our system. When you come to this main page, there are going to be some different buttons at the top to take you into some different areas of information. The getting started in the LMS, how do I navigate, how do I use this site? You can meet the LMS management team, the admins that help pull all of this together. Both the Davy Dose and the Season of Learning are just collections of educational pieces about a variety of different types of topics. So it's really, you can kind of go in there, browse around, see what they've done, some different web sessions on. They're usually 20 to 30 minutes long, but they might be on tree diseases, application of certain treatments, how to use different types of tech systems, and that type of thing. And it's really kind of for your own personal knowledge and areas of interest to build on your background. So that's what both of those Dose and Season of Learning are. This UVM training button, we'll come back around to that. We do have some ISA prep resources in here that you can click here and it'll take you to those. And then most of this other stuff, it probably wouldn't be applicable to you. The Success Factors Employee Central, we will come back and take a look at that as we go along. But if I continue to scroll down, I can see My Learning. And this is where you've been accessing your courses. So you would simply click on the course. It would take you there. You start going through. It only shows 5 at a time. If you have more courses, which all of you probably should, there are going to be some other pages over on the right-hand side that you can click into to see those other courses that are assigned to you. If we click the Started tab, this will take you to courses that maybe you started but didn't have time to finish. You can click right on those. It'll take you back to that course and pick up right where you left off. And then if we click the Completed tab, this is where you can see what have I completed, when did I do it, in case you need to confirm that for a manager or something. But it is also a place where you can collect these courses and you can re-access them at any time if you want to see something that's in there again. Think of them as reference materials that you can go back to help build up your knowledge. This is a ton of information that you're getting at the beginning here. It's going to be overwhelming. You're probably only going to remember a percentage of it, but know that you can come back to that again if you feel like you need it. And again, you can see here, I've got several pages where I can keep going through and finding the different courses that I've done. Think about utility equipment identification. If you're new to the utility industry, that may be something that you have to work on and practice a little bit. Or maybe you come in with a utility background, but your tree ID skills are not the greatest. You can go back into those tree ID resources and kind of work on those ID skills as well, or any of the courses that you're working on as a resource for you, okay? If you ever do have questions about your training, you can reach out to me. On the left-hand side here, there's also a Contact Us selection where you can reach out to those LMS admins. There's an email address and there's a phone number and extension. They're very quick to get back with you. If you're having issues, they can help you with any troubleshooting. Or if there's some certain type of information you're looking for, they can kind of give you an idea of what might be available in here. So this web platform is not just for those courses that you've been assigned. It's a library of hundreds and hundreds of pieces of information. There's a few different ways that we can look for this stuff. So on the left-hand side, we've got this menu, and if we click the All Learning dropdown, there are a few different ways you can search. If we browse by title, this is going to bring up a numeric and alphabetic listing of everything that is in here. So you can kind of browse around and see some of the types of things that are in there, but it's probably not going to be a very effective or efficient way to look for something specific. If we go back to that dropdown and we browse by a tag is a subject or a topic area where those courses are then bundled into what are they about. And of course, I'm being a little bit slow here to load up. You can see there are a whole bunch of different topics. So advanced arborist, arboriculture, communication, lots of COVID resources information in here. And there are multiple pages of these topics that you can search through. If I click on arboriculture, this is going to bring up a collection of courses that have been tagged as having something to do with arboriculture. And this might be a much quicker way for you to look for something that is more appropriate to what you're searching for. And you can kind of see there are various different types of courses. And again, multiple pages of options that are available. You can also use the search bar at the top. And here you really just need some keywords. So if I type in utility, it's first going to give me a list of items that have utility as part of their title. And if I click to search, it's going to bring those up for me. And it's also, if I continue to scan through, going to start to bring up courses that have something to do with utility as well. So that's another way that you can seek out information. Maybe you had a question from a property owner or a client that's just really beyond your scope, or you're starting to look for some more advanced training information. Those are some of the ways that you can seek out that information. And again, if you're not finding what you're looking for, reach out to those LMS admins and they should be able to point you into what is available for you. All right, so I came back to this dashboard page and I want to show you this Success Factors button. So Success Factors is kind of the human resources tool that we have adopted, and that's where you're going to manage your employee information, be able to access your pay information and things of that nature. Within your assigned training, I believe everybody is now getting the Success Factors General User Training Bundle, and that's very easy to access. You can also come to this Success Factors page, and if we scroll down, you can find some quick links into the tutorials for some of those certain functions. If I go down a little bit further, you can also find, again, that general user training. Again, I think all of this has been assigned to you and should be in your courses, but if you find that's not the case, you can click into it here. So what you'll find when you go into that bundle is all of the different topics on how to access, how to use, how to do certain functions within Success Factors to teach you how to use the system. If you're like me, that's all well and good. It's very easy to watch, very easy to listen to, seems to make sense. And then you go into Success Factors and you forget all about how exactly do I do that. Under these green boxes, there's this General User Job Aid Bundle button. If I click on that, these are going to be PDFs that I can download and I can print out and keep handy so that if I do need to go in and do these functions, I don't have to remember. I can have it on paper in front of me, or I can pull it up on my computer and have it at my fingertips. And so just know that that's available in there as well. And makes it very easy for you to use that system. So scrolling down until you see that gray General User Job Aid Bundle button for those printable instructions. I'm going to now jump over to SuccessFactors, and it always logs me out in the meantime. So I got to re-log in here. Okay. So when you log into SuccessFactors, it's going to look something like this. And when you kind of come to your own action page, you'll see either your initials up here or your profile picture if you add one of those, and then kind of some of your general actions and information. Most people are going to use this site to check their pay stubs. And if you need to maybe change your address or change your emergency contact or that type of thing, you can do that by clicking My Profile. You can also go to this home button at the top, drop it down and hit Employee Files. It'll take you to that same profile page where you can then see what personal information is in the system for you. And this is where you can also then take action to change or update information, your employment info, your compensation information. And then if we click Payroll, this is where you'll be able to access your pay statements. You would simply click that blue pay statement link and it'll bring up the most recent pay statement. And as you continue to collect those, you'll be able to move backwards to prior pay statements as well. That's kind of the frequently asked question area for this system. Any of the other functions you might need to know how to do are going to be covered in those training modules that you're working on within the LMS. Okay, but if you have questions at any point, just reach out. All right, so next I'm going to go to DRG Connect. This is a website that's been developed specifically for Davie Resource Group employees, and there's going to be a ton of applicable information in here. I'm going to kind of hit those frequently asked question areas or most important information. Definitely encourage you to come back to the site and just browse around when you've got some time to see what else is in here, how it's organized, and where to find information. So at the top of the page, we have some navigation drop-down links. I'm going to first go to DRG Employee Safety, and I'm going to hit Incident Investigation and Reporting. Simply because I think it's super important for a new employee to know if something happens to me on the job in the field, where do I start? What do I do? Hopefully your manager or your trainer is going over this information for you, but we want you to have a place to start. So an incident on the job would be personal injury, an illness that results maybe from a tick bite or a severe case of poison ivy or poison sumac. Tick bites particularly, if that happens, we want that to be reported. If you have a vehicular incident, if there's a property damage incident that occurs on the job, all of those things need to be reported, and your manager has to submit those forms within 24 hours. So really important that you understand what this process is. In the glove box of your vehicle, there should be an envelope that has the 3 different types of incident forms. If you do not have these forms, make sure that you get them. I'm going to show you a place where you can print them. You can get them from your manager, and they may actually be digitizing or electronically making these available as well, but we'll at least know about the hard copies. If you should have an incident and you are in the capacity to be able to start dealing with the situation, these forms are going to be your starting place to help you to really calm down, focus, and start thinking about what do I need to do to handle this situation. Start answering the questions that are necessary so that you can be taken care of, any other parties can be taken care of as quickly and efficiently as possible. If you have an incident, there's going to be an investigation. This is simply going to be one of your supervisors going over the situation with you and making sure that we have all of the information that's necessary to move everything forward. In certain situations, we do have to report to OSHA, so this process helps us to fulfill that obligation. If I scroll down a little bit further here, you can find a folder that has those paper incident forms. If you should need those or need to replace a form, if you would have an incident, you can get another one here. In certain situations, we also have to do post-incident drug and alcohol testing. So we really just want you to know and be aware, what is the process? What should I expect if something happens? You're not being singled out. This is simply what we have to do to take care of the different situations. But if you have any questions at all about incidents and what to do do not hesitate to talk to your manager or your trainer about those. And if you have questions, always reach out, okay? All right, I'm going to go back to that safety tab and then hit policies and procedures. There's a ton of information on this page, and all of it will apply to you at one point or another. First thing here is the safety and training manual. So this is the big giant binder of information that is in your vehicle. On the West Coast, I don't know if they're still giving hard copies to everybody, but you need to know where to find this. This is one place that you can do so. Also, if you're looking for something specific, this might be a faster way to do it. So we click into here. The manual is available in both English and in Spanish. We click on our folder, and then you can find it organized by chapter. This is the guidebook for how to perform every action, every job across our company. So if you have questions about proper personal protective equipment or PPE, there's a chapter on that. If you need to set up temporary traffic control and you want to make sure that you're doing that the right way, there's a chapter on that. Maybe you have a question about electrical hazard identification. There's a chapter on that. And then you're going to also find chapters on all of the things other people do in the company. Ropes and knots, landscape installation, plant healthcare, things that might have nothing to do with your job, but that information is there and available. So this is one place that we can find and access this safety and training manual. Going back to our Connect page, going down a little further, the Safety Tailgate Program. These are safety topics that are sent out to us every month by our safety department. And these are usually parts of those weekly team safety calls and meetings that you're a part of. The tailgates are really there to just keep us all aware of what types of hazards we need to be watching out for, how we handle those types of situations, how we control different types of hazards, and what we need to know in certain situations. If you should ever need or want a hard copy of one of these tailgates, you can click the link here. It'll take you to a folder where the tailgates are organized by year. And then within that year folder, you can find them organized by month. So maybe you've been asked to present the next tailgate. Maybe one really hit home for you and you want to have a hard copy printout of it. You can find those here. Also note, if you have your ISA certification, those tailgates are eligible for CEUs. If that applies to you, make sure your manager knows so that they can document you so that you get those CEU credits. Okay. Lone worker policies. There's some resource information here. Main thing is that we know and are aware that most of our people are lone workers out there independently doing their job, and we want you to feel as safe as possible. Check-in and check-out procedures are one of the most important ways for us to do this. Your manager or trainer should have gone over with you in detail what that check-out and check-in and check-out process looks like for your area. If you feel like that's not the case, or if you ever have questions, don't hesitate to ask. Also know that on any work location, if you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, you have the ability to stop, pause, and step back. So maybe you're in a very rural location that looks very tricky to access, and you don't want to do that while nobody else is around. You can contact your manager. Maybe there's an alternative way to access. Maybe a buddy can come out so that you're not by yourself, and just kind of look at what would be the safest way for us to access this particular location. Same thing for urban situations. Maybe it's a really bad part of town and you don't feel safe being there, particularly by yourself. Contact your manager. Maybe a partner can come out for that particular area. In some cases, we have had police escorts. So know that your safety is of utmost importance. And again, you have that final call on whether you feel safe in a location or not. Okay. All right. UVM standards and regulations. Depending on how familiar you are with this industry, you may or may not have heard of these before. The American National Standards Institute, or ANSI, develops our operational and safety requirements. The ANSI A300 details our performance standards. The Z133 details our safety requirements. If you should ever need to refer to these documents, you can simply click the link and it'll take you to PDF documents of any of those if you should ever need to refer to them. The Close Call Communicator. This is a tool that we use to share close calls with our coworkers and across the company. So a close call, undesirable, unfortunate event that occurred, could have resulted in something really bad happening, but fortunately it didn't. We want to share that that happened. A lot of times on your team safety calls, managers will ask, does anybody have any close calls or near misses that they want to share this week? Or good catches like, hey, I caught this and nothing bad happened. Simply by sharing and communicating and talking about these things helps our team members to also be aware of them, and it helps us to stay safer, okay? Maybe you're patrolling along the right of way and you almost step in a groundhog hole. If you'd have stepped in there, you could have twisted your ankle or broke your leg. That's happened to people. Simply by talking about it and saying, hey, I almost did this, hopefully will trigger your team members to say, you know what, I haven't been paying attention to where I've been putting my feet. I need to be paying attention to the ground a little bit more. That's what it's all about. I'll show you a little bit later where you can access and generate one of these close calls very simply and very easily from the field and share those out. Job briefings probably becoming a routine part of your day. Just make sure that you're being as thorough as possible with these job briefings. The whole point is to identify and control hazards in your particular work location. I think most every team has gone to electronic versions of these job briefings. There's a link to a paper form here if you should need those. But again, I think most of those have shifted over to electronic. Ever have questions, don't hesitate to ask your peers or your managers. Crew observations and fire prevention resources. These are really more specific depending on if that's part of your role or not. Fire prevention, I know particularly this time of year in the summer, is a hot topic and is talked about frequently with those teams, particularly in the West, but you can find some resource information here. Worker wellness program. So this worker wellness program or resource is an 800 phone number that's available to us 24/7 free of charge. And it reaches out to this nurse triage service. So if you have some type of injury or illness that you experience on the job, and it's one of those things, I'm not sure what I need to do about this, call them, explain what happened, what you're experiencing, and they will give you a recommendation. So maybe they'll tell you should go to urgent care. Maybe you should went to the emergency room. Maybe you just need to go home and do some ice and Advil and call your doctor. That's what this is for. If you do not have this 800 number in your vehicle, make sure that you get it so it's at your fingertips. It's a peace of mind resource that is available to you, again, free of charge at any time for those situations that you're just not sure, how do I handle this type of injury or illness situation. Prescription safety glasses. If you have glasses, you can have or get prescription safety glasses. There's an instruction sheet here that explains exactly what you need to do to get those. So if this applies to you, definitely check it out. Probably a lot more comfortable to have those prescription safety glasses than having to wear a pair over top of your regular glasses. And then finally, the dog bite safety training. This is the exact same information that you're going to see in the job site safety course that you're doing within the LMS. We know you're going to encounter dogs when you're patrolling in yards, even in front doors with property owners. And we want you to be as comfortable and safe as can be. You may encounter other animals that some of this information will also be helpful for. So what types of things should you be looking out for? How do you make your presence known? If you have an encounter, how can you protect yourself? Those types of things. Again, you'll see that in the job site safety course, but if you ever need to come back to it, it's very easy to find here as well. And again, do not ever hesitate to express your concerns if there is a situation. Okay. All right, I'm going to move over to the employee resources dropdown. I'm not going to hit everything here, but some of the main points. The first thing I'm going to hit here is the DRG contact information. So this is going to give you corporate headquarter contact info. It's also going to have some information on the Davy Voice. So the Davy Voice, we're going to see this pop up in a lot of different places. This is our reporting platform where you can report any activity that you really feel is inconsistent with ethics, policies, things of that nature, whether it's happening to you or whether you're observing it happening to somebody else. This is a confidential reporting platform that then that situation can be investigated with anonymity for you and any of the other parties involved. There is a QR code here that you can scan to get to the information. There's a phone number. There's a website that you can get to, and I'll show you another place that you can access as well. So just kind of know and be aware that that exists if you should ever find a situation or experience a situation that you feel it is warranted. If I go a little bit farther here, this is then your corporate contacts for all of your different departments. So benefits, equipment, human resources, IT, payroll. You're going to get a name, you're going to get a phone extension, you're going to get an email address. So a little bit more specific than what we saw earlier in the Welcomes website. You're an employee now, you're going to have questions at some point about a lot of these things. Where do I go? Who do I call? This is a great starting place for you. These people will either help you directly or they will get you to the individual for your situation. So DRG Connect, employee resources, right there at the top of the page on DRG contact information. I'm going to roll down here to employment policies. First thing we're going to find on here is a link to the employee handbook. That is also available in English and Spanish. We don't issue out hard copies of the handbook, but a lot of times people like to be able to access them to see company standards, expectations, policies, all of that kind of stuff. So you can find that here. Information on our anti-harassment policy that kind of goes hand in hand too with that Davie voice. And then your general information on your PTO, your vacation, holiday, funeral leave, things of that nature. This may be a little bit different for our union employees. If you're non-union, this will be kind of the general gist of how your PTO works. So if I go back to this resources tab and then I go to employee benefits, this is where we dive in a little bit more into those specific benefits that might be available. If your manager clears you for business cards, there's a form here you can fill out to order those. Stock purchase plan, this is probably not the best place for that information. Additional employee benefits, let me open up this folder. We've got some unique perks that are available to us as employees. First off, for some of your cell phone providers, if you let them know that you're an employee of the Davie company, you're going to get a discount. AT&T is one of those, Verizon is one, I think T-Mobile may be on that list as well. So that's kind of a cool benefit. And for me, I think all I had to do was tell them that I work for Davie and maybe showed them a pay statement. I might not have even had to do that. If you're in the market for a personal computer, there's a form here for a discount on a personal computer purchase. If you make charitable donations, there's a matching gift form to get a matching donation from the company. And if at some point you're in the market for a new vehicle, we can get discounts from Ford, Chrysler, and GM. There's a document in here for each of them that lays out exactly what you need to do to get that discount code. You just take it to your dealer and bam, you get that discount applied. So just kind of some unique perks that I like to share and point out. We're on that Connect site. We're under employee benefits and under that additional employee benefits folder there. We do have referral bonuses available. If you have friends, family in the industry, might be a good fit, looking for a job, refer them. And you can get up to $1,000 for that referral if they're hired. There are instructions here on how to submit a referral. If you're having issues, questions, you can always just reach out to that recruiter that onboarded you as well, and they can help with that referral too. And then we do have employee scholarships available, both for employees that may be going back to school for additional degrees or certifications, but also for dependents that you may have that are in college, and they can apply for scholarships as well. So there's some links here, and I'll show you another place where we can hit them as well. And then your general benefits, your general group benefits for your health, life, dental, vision, all of that good stuff. Again, those packets should be coming out to you anytime. benefits.hr@davie.com with any questions. It can be very overwhelming and confusing once you get those packages, so don't hesitate to reach out to them if you're unsure about something, confusion, want to know exactly what you need to do, which one's which, that type of thing. They will help you out. Okay, and again, that may look a little bit different for union employees versus non-union employees. And then, yeah, if you're on call temporary, or are they considering you a full-time permanent with the project that you're on, they can clarify those types of things for you. We do have 401k available. And again, this looks a little different for the union employees, but after you've been with the company for a year, when you start getting close to that anniversary date, you'll receive information enrolling into the 401k program, and kind of tells you all about that as well. All right, last thing here under resources I want to hit is the Davie branded clothing. So you may see coworkers with Davie gear, clothes, accessories, things like that. There are a few different catalogs available here, so you can see what's available. Hats, jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, safety gear, water bottles, notebooks, pens, all kinds of good stuff in there. So if that's something that you're interested, this is one of the places that you can find those catalogs and see what's available. And as I said, lots of information here. So definitely come back when you've got some time and browse around a little bit on your own. Okay. Last site that I want to touch is our Davie Connect site. So this is a site that is for all employees of the company. So it's a little bit more broad and general in the information. There is a Davie Connect mobile app also that I would encourage you to download. And some of the stuff that you see scrolling through here is the type of things that you'll see. So kind of like, you know, a Facebook or something like that. They're going to do posts on things that are going on, useful information on here, how to change your password, different tips and tricks. There are contests sometimes there's just announcements, different communications that they're sharing and that type of thing, communicating to everybody across the company. Some good resources here. So on the mobile app, and as you can see here on the site on this left-hand side, there are some icons for some of the different applications. I'm going to click the 3 little dots so we get all of them. Here you can click into a lot of the things that we've been talking about. Here's a button for success factors. You can jump right into that from here or from on your mobile device, you can go to it. Here's a link to the learning management system. Most of your courses will work on your cell phone, on your smart device. You don't necessarily have to be on a computer. Some of the older ones might be a little tricky, but then most of them are supported. EO Corner, this answers all the questions about employee ownership. So as long as the stock purchasing window is open, any employee, after you've been with us for 90 days, any employee can purchase stock if that window is open. Once you've been with the company for a year, you'll be able to purchase stock at a 15% discount. But this EO Corner has all kinds of information, slide decks, and things like that that go into the details about how employee ownership works in the stock purchasing program. Here's the close call communicator. So if you're in the field and you have a close call, pull out your cell phone, jump into the Davie Connect app, click on close call communicator. You can plug it right in and send it off to the safety department right then and there. Same thing with your Davie Voice. Here's a button there as well in this Connect app that you can click that. If there's something you feel you need to report, you can access that very easily from this website. Here's more of that clothing and gear, Arborwear, the other apparel and promo stuff that we've got available and that type of thing. The documents, if I click on documents, here you can find employee handbook. Here's your discounts from your cell phone providers, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, all of those types of things. Here's your vehicle purchase plans. Those are the documents to walk you through those. Employee assistance program, if you have financial concerns, hardships, if you have wellness issues that you need assistance, we have a program that addresses those that you can apply for aid through that. Here's that matching gift form. If I go down a little bit further, here's the scholarship forms for employees and for the dependents, referral program, and all those different kinds of things. So Connect app in the documents, really good place to go for those. Go backwards, back to my links. Let's see, IT help, any type of work IT issues, whether it's getting your work email on your cell phone or whether it's my field device isn't working, IT help is who you're gonna jump in with. And then a lot of other things that you may or may not need, but all of them are kind of pulled together in this one resource. So definitely recommend getting the Davie Connect app on your mobile device. Okay. I want to go back real quick to the learning management system and show you again on that front page because I kind of wandered away from it. This UVM training button. So I'm going to send out a communication. This is brand new. I'm going to send a communication out next week to all of our UVM employees. You should see that announcement in your Davie email next week. If I click into that, we have an entire curriculum of training materials that we've pulled together, and all of that is brought together in this one place. So it's based on your experience level, and all of you as being new employees would be kind of at that entry level point, which would be here at the bottom of our tree. But you can click on these levels, and I will be providing all of you a document that details what's in each of the levels, what kind of training is in there, and that type of thing. But if we click here, you can see here's a lot of those courses that you're working on right now. The defensive driving, the orientation, electrical hazard awareness, and all of those types of things. You still want to access and complete them in your assignments, right? But as you get down the road and you finish up all of your training, if there's other stuff that's out there, you can find and access that stuff here. Once you've completed these courses, you will see this note here. If you come into the curriculum, this is optional because you've completed. All I have to do is hit skip and confirm, and it's going to log it 100% complete for me here in this place. Again, the courses that are assigned to you, you should still be completing those from your assignments, not from this curriculum page, but I wanted to kind of show you that this exists. We're going to roll it out and communicate it to everybody next week, but just know that that's there. So as you kind of begin your training, you can continue to expand and grow your training as well into lots of different areas. There's some frequently asked questions down here to talk, shows you a little bit more about how it works and what it's all about. Okay. Last thing. So how do I remember and get to all of these websites that we've been talking about? I'm going to send you out a follow-up email that has a recorded version of the webinar. It's also going to have this page linked to it. And on this page are going to be the links to all of these websites, lets you know which ones have mobile apps available. All you have to do is click into that then. You can explore the things that we've been looking at. I would say at the least, click on it and bookmark it so that if you're on a computer, it's right there at the top of your page and you don't have to try to find it every time or go into an app to click into it. It makes it very easy for you to access and get to any of these sites. So just another way that you can get to and access and find the things that you're looking for.